Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Sub-Auteurs. We like movies. And yeah, my name is MJ.
I'm Misha.
And I'm Anjo.
Woohoo! Today we'll be talking about the latest from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, technically not the latest because the Eternals is out, but the latest one that is available to us or on Disney Plus at the very least.
finally
Shang-Chi!
It's still late.
Shang-Chi!
Counts.
You mean
it's,
Sean?
it's late for us.
Yeah, it's still kind of late for us.
Well,
But
it's late since we're only catching it on streaming, but
Mhm.
everybody else has seen it around the world.
That is true. That is true.
Third world country problems. But yes, we are talking about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, starring Simu Liu, Aquafina, Tony Leung, Michelle Yeoh, and a whole lot
Fala
of
Chen.
amazing. Yes, Fala Chen. Oh my gosh.
Mhm. So
Yes.
gorgeous.
So many gorgeous people in this cast, fully Asian. Well, except for this one guy, but we'll get to that later. But this
The
is
best name. He had the best name. I swear.
Florian. This Florian guy.
No, his character had the best name in the movie ever.
Oh, yeah. We can get to that in a little bit. But yes, this movie has been hyped for how well it has been doing in the box office for 2021. Especially people were saying, it's gonna flop, it's gonna flop. Well, it didn't, people. It did very well
Absolutely.
in the box office.
Sorry, haters.
Came out worldwide around August. Of course, the Philippines still under lockdown at the time. Even with cinemas reopening last week on November 10th, Shang-Chi does not open here until the 24th. So anybody who's watching, you're staying at home, you're catching on Disney Plus.
Yes,
Mhm.
sir. Yes, sir. That is correct.
Yes, and hopefully it'll still be making a lot more in money because, well, it has really, really great representation for the Asian community, especially at a time like this where everybody's so divided. But yeah, a lot of Asian pride in this. So right off the bat, you guys, what did you think?
There's
I
a lot of
loved it.
Asian thirst happening in this movie.
What?
Apparently so.
What? Thirst? What? What do you
What?
mean?
What?
What?
Wait.
I don't know.
Are we
What?
jumping into a thirst portion for?
I'm just getting it out of the way. It's already there.
But I want it to be a special portion, not like the first
Okay,
impression.
We'll make it special right. We'll make it special right now.
I want to give it a special moment and not start off with it.
Okay.
Fine. Okay, fine. For me, honestly speaking, I am one of those few people who actually enjoyed Raya the Last Dragon, but I admit that film had flaws.
Mhm.
This is the movie that Raya the Last Dragon wishes it could have been.
Oh, I see what you mean. I really do.
And Mulan wishes it could have been both
Oh!
Raya
Oh
and
my
this one.
god, fuck that! Yes, Mulan was terrible. What the actual? Yes, this is the movie Mulan wishes it could be.
Yep.
Could have been.
Yep.
But it
Yep.
failed miserably. But I could see
I
this
enjoyed
one.
Raya. I
me
enjoyed
too.
Raya. I did not enjoy Mulan at all.
Mulan was garbage. I'm sorry.
I enjoyed Shang-Chi a hell of a lot more.
Me
Absolutely.
too. I loved
It did not dishonor your ancestors. It did not dishonor your cow.
Oh
Shang-Chi
my
is good
God.
stuff. And Simu Liu, who we've seen, of course, like on his sitcom, Kim's Convenience, he's actually pretty good in the lead. And I appreciated the film for what it tried to do. It handled a lot of stuff that it could have fallen on its face, to be honest. Because usually when they try and go for diversity or for lack of a better word, wokeness in a lot of these big blockbusters, it comes across as inauthentic or as, pandering. But I think they did a pretty good job here.
They did.
Yes, they did. They did. I mean, it's one thing, Disney tried to pander to the Asian audience with Mulan. That was the wrong way to do it because
It was so bad.
they tried to make that as authentic as it could be, but nothing about it screamed authenticity,
That movie was authentic, like a souvenir shop authentic.
Yep. Well, Shang-Chi, on the other hand, even if the character is supposedly an American Chinese, had so much more authenticity and it spoke volumes, even from the fight scenes to the language that was used. Just, like certain themes about American-born Chinese people were there. Like
Yeah.
ABC.
we'll get to these as we
Yeah.
go further down.
Yeah, so while we're already there anyway, this movie was really hyped for its Asian representation, not just by Simu Liu. He is incredibly proud of this project, and we agree. That's something definitely to be proud of. But since this was really set up to be a representation, what do you think are the things that made it different in terms of introducing this kind of character to the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Well, what I enjoyed the most about this, or what to me separated this the most from all other Marvel movies, well, it's essentially Shang-Chi is an action movie, which all other superhero movies are. They're all action movies filled with action sequences, all, like fight scenes, explosions, and stuff like that. But then what separated Shang-Chi the most from its other co-Marvel, what other Marvel movies is that the fact that it paid tribute to Hong Kong's wuxia cinema, which Hong Kong is really known for. It's like it's how these characters express their emotions through their martial arts. It's kind of like a format for the quote unquote Chinese opera for cinema, which is perfect because you see it in the fight choreography, you see it in the story because it's so. The fight scenes, the fight choreography was just so expressive here. It's just not, fighting for the sake of fighting, but like this is how I feel. It's storytelling, which is to
It
me
is.
beautiful. As a fan of like old school kung fu movies, like this is something.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly with the. It starts out definitely as a wuxia homage, especially the first fight between Wenwu and the woman who becomes his wife. But something that I really appreciated as the movie goes on, it does pay tribute to Chinese action cinema, but it also does it in a way that it pays tribute to Chinese cinema of different time periods. So you start off with the wuxia of the 60s and 70s, and then in the middle portion it becomes the 80s and 90s Jackie Chan kind of style, and then later towards the end it's the big special effects thing that's coming out of mainland China now, where they're using a lot of their traditional fantasy elements.
Yep,
So
it's the more epic stuff.
it was just like watching a microcosm of Chinese action cinema, and it was fun because it was all entirely in context of the story that they were trying to tell.
Yes,
so
yes.
it didn't feel like pandering, honestly.
It was
Absolutely.
also smooth, and if you're familiar with all those different eras of wuxia, then you would appreciate this a lot. Me being a huge fan of Zhang Yimou films, it's that's a high bar he's already set for us, and if you're already a fan, this wouldn't disappoint you. It's got some elements of that and the usual Marvel flavor to make it entertaining and just enjoyable
Exactly.
for more audiences. I love that.
Exactly. The fact that they're able to pay tribute to that kind of cinema and still put the stamp of or put the signature of what they're known for is just a really good way of making it stand out from all other Marvel movies.
And what I appreciated furthermore was that it is a Marvel movie in treatment, in tone, and all that stuff. But unlike the past few entries, which pretty much require you to have seen the last 20, 25 movies, 24 movies, 25
Oh
with
my god,
Shang-Chi,
there's so much.
this one was essentially a clean slate. You could go in knowing
Yes.
next to nothing and it would still work. Aside from the occasional reference to things like the blip or, people, half the planet disappearing, or even the return of a character that we won't spoil at this point. You don't necessarily need to know everything going in. You want to go in, see a kick-ass kung fu movie with an Asian cast. This is it. This is good shit.
It's super refreshing. And something new definitely was the first 10 minutes. Because the first 10 minutes are completely in Mandarin. Which must have pissed off some racists and lazy people who hate reading subtitles. But this is like a subtle middle finger to those people. It's like, we're here, we're being represented, and you better read those goddamn subtitles because it's worth it.
It's authentic. No, it's probably one of the most authentic things Disney has done as of late.
And it's
God,
common
I hate
sense.
Mulan because I fucking hate Mulan.
And it's common sense because it starts out with how it all started with Shang-Chi's father, played by Tony Leung, and how powerful he is with all the 10 rings, and, how life goes on for him, how he starts it, and malamang it will start in Mandarin. As if naman, wala pa naman siya sa Amerika, diba? So, bakit naman siya mag-i-English kung di kailangan?
Absolutely.
So yeah, since we're already there, we can talk about its synopsis or what it's all about. What is this all about, you guys?
I got a bone to pick about the title.
What?
Because those aren't fucking rings. He's got 10 bracelets.
Well, essentially, bracelets are gigantic ring.
He's got 10 bangles.
It won't sound as smooth. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the 10 Bangles.
O, di palitan
Shang-Chi,
natin.
Legend of the 10 Bracelets. Nah.
Fine,
Shang-Chi
fine. Okay,
and the
fine.
Legend of the 10 Wristbands. Di pa rin eh. Talagang 10 rings. 10 rings talaga.
Wristbands?
10 rings talaga.
Pupuntang music festival, wristbands.
Alam, mali
Look,
ko
at
ba?
some point, past a certain circumference, a ring becomes a bracelet.
Hey, but honestly, the 10 rings is one of the coolest weapons in the MCU, in my opinion. It's one of
It
the coolest
actually
weapons
is.
I have ever seen on screen, if not the MCU, for me, period.
Mm-mm.
I haven't seen any
Okay.
weapons like that. So it's like, damn, this is so cool.
Okay, just a little backstory. The original, the inspiration for the rings, of course, was the signature weapon of a bad guy
The
known
Mandarin.
as the Mandarin, right? And he had literally like 10 rings with different powers. And if he had all 10, he could beat pretty much anybody. He's one of Iron Man's biggest bad guys.
Wasn't he
But-
like the rival of Iron Man at some point?
He was. He's Iron Man's
Like
Lex
magic
Luthor-ish.
versus science type.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah.
But, you know, the problem with the Mandarin is he's usually drawn in the whole Fu Manchu stereotype thing, and that would not go over well with a modern audience.
Nope.
You know, the
Nope.
evil
Not at all.
Oriental. So
Ugh.
they changed it.
Offensive.
That's why they've never actually had the Mandarin in any of the Iron Man movies starring Robert Downey. In fact, they did everything they could to work around it, just by using the name, by having the guys who kidnapped him in Afghanistan be the 10 rings. They did everything except actually show a Chinese man call himself the Mandarin.
They gave us a god-awful plot twist.
it was an out of work actor played by Ben Kingsley. Trevor,
Sir,
my-
Sir Ben
my-
Kingsley.
Sir Ben Kingsley is Trevor. I'm an actor.
Worst plot twist ever. I was so fucking pissed after watching that
You're
movie.
expecting some big crazy
you-
bad guy with
And you're not
Yeah.
even like,
Our
and you're not even like a
rings.
comic book fan, and you were pissed about it.
He's supposed
Right?
to be this international terrorist feared by many, and you tell me he's a fucking actor named Trevor?
Who's high? Who's high all the time because he doesn't seem to realize what he's been doing, and that he's like a
Nice.
leader. He's like the
No.
figurehead of a freaking terrorist organization.
Well,
Stupid.
we can get to how they addressed this person later
Right,
on, because
right.
they do
So-
address it. So who is Shang-Chi?
Okay, fine. Who is Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi is a 20-something-year-old slacker, basically, who hangs out with his slacker friend Aquafina. They're both obviously intelligent. They're both very charming, but they're happy just working as underachieving valet parking attendants in San Francisco.
In short, what tiger moms do not want you to be.
Ha, exactly.
Mhm.
Shame.
Yeah.
This
Right.
Anna.
Yeah, but then Shang-Chi has a dark past.
Right, which is
Mm.
revealed bit by bit, starting when some guys try to attack him on a bus in San Francisco. He takes them all out, full Jackie Chan style,
Yeah.
with a little bit of a Marvel twist at the end.
He's wearing
And-
Jordans.
Oh yes, he is. He is. He is
And, you
wearing
know,
Jays.
He decides that he has to go find his long lost sister to protect her because people are going to be coming after her too. His good buddy Aquafina goes with him. Next thing we know, they're in Macau in an underground fight club, which apparently is run by his long lost sister.
That's actually one of my
Damn.
favorite parts is when they realize that it's the sister's underground illegal empire that they walk into. Not
Mhm.
just
So
she's not just a
cool.
fighter in it.
Can I just say, I fucking love Ronnie
She's a
Chang.
boss
Me
bitch.
too.
When the elevator door opened and I saw who it was, oh my god.
Boss guy.
It's Ronnie fucking
No, it's
Chang.
Bus Boy.
Boss
Bus
boy.
boy.
Boss Boy. Hey, Bus Boy. It's like a mini reunion for the Crazy Rich Asians cast.
Oh yeah, it actually is. I loved him in
There's
Crazy
three of
Rich
them there.
Asians too. Yeah,
Mhm.
true.
And then later on, we find out that the assassins were actually sent by their father, who was played by Tony Leung, as we mentioned. And he's got an agenda for these pendants, these matching pendants that the brother and sister are wearing, because he wants to find his way back to a mystical village hidden in an enchanted forest in hopes of bringing his wife back from the land of the dead. So yeah, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, that's basically it. That's in general the overview of the story. Shall we proceed to Spoiler Town?
Yeah, let's do that.
Spoiler Town! Okay, so let's get to your favorite scenes in this movie.
Honestly, speaking as somebody, I mean, whatever his political leanings are now, I'm gonna leave that out of it. But speaking as somebody who grew up on 80s and 90s Jackie Chan movies, I really love the bus fight
Ooh, me
and the
too.
fight on the side of the building because they were both so very clearly
yeah.
inspired by that generation
They
of
are.
choreography and fighting.
Yes.
And actually, the second unit director was, the only white guy who was ever on Jackie Chan's stunt team. His name was Brad Allen. Sadly, he passed
Rest
away a
in
couple of
peace.
months before the movie came out.
Aw.
But
That's
the
awesome,
movie,
though.
if you watch the credits, the movie's actually dedicated to him posthumously. And yeah, he really goes to town with it. Having Simu Liu do all the Jackie Chan stuff of playing with the environment and having comical reactions. And the only thing that would detract from those, in my opinion, because I'm old school, is there's just way too much CGI in both of those sequences. Because it would have been fun, it would have been fun to see him actually taking his lumps and, the CGI isn't consistent like all Marvel movies. It's not consistent. Sometimes it's really good and sometimes it's just questionable.
It's K lang.
It's,
Sometimes.
parang, it's like
It's
a
a-
last minute decision or
Yeah.
something.
I didn't like the CGI on the side of the building. That was the most obvious one to me.
Like when Aquafina was falling, I was like, kalas. Kalas
Oh.
scene, okay.
Although, speaking of those two sequences, I really like the bus scene. I especially love this tracking shot on this from the side of the bus.
Yes.
You can
that's
see like all
awesome.
the action going
Yes.
on inside the bus, and the camera is outside just tracking while
Mhm.
while Shang-Chi traverses throughout the bus. That was my favorite shot of that sequence.
I love
Um,
that
I-
because that's like straight up old school where
Mhm.
they would shoot them
Yeah.
like musicals where you
Mhm.
can see every move, you
Yeah.
can't cheat because you see it's all there.
Yeah, it is why I enjoyed that because speaking of old school, it just goes to show you how much work these actors, these stunt
Oh, yeah.
performers put in. Because in
Definitely.
Hong Kong cinema, it's tradition. They do it repetitively, on and on and on until the director just says, "Okay, we're done. We have everything." But then you don't realize that these guys are worked to the bone, just finishing a freaking sequence.
Mhm.
You hear stories about Sammo Hung directing kung fu movies, and he's probably one of the more brutal directors they have there.
He is. He's a very
Right.
because the thing is, Sammo Hung. Look at him. Just look at him. Okay, and the
Like,
logic there is if he can do it, you have no right not to. Basically.
Yep.
And
Yep.
there's a reason Jackie Chan broke almost all of his bones in his body
Oh yeah.
True.
filming all that
Yep.
shit.
But that
Yep.
being said, I also like the more traditional wuxia sequence that opens the film, which
Yes.
which takes place in an enchanted bamboo forest with two people who are falling in love through their mastery of the martial arts, and it doesn't get more.
everyone-
It doesn't get more classic than that. Honestly, I love that.
I think that's what everybody's favorite. I mean, like the three of us have been discussing this earlier. It's like, oh, that's a really cool sequence. No.
You have this sexual tension while they're fighting, which is just so classic. By the way, we're talking about Tony Leung
Mhm.
meeting
And Fala Chen.
Yeah, Fala Chen as
Oh, yes.
Shang-Chi's parents, how they meet. And the
Mhm.
setting is something very familiar to wuxia films. It's like it's taking it out of the playbook of Hero and maybe
Crouching Tiger.
Crouching Tiger,
Crouching
all
Tiger,
the
Hidden
high
Dragon. Like,
all the high bamboo trees and the lake, the waterfall. It's just beautiful. The colorful wind, the colorful dresses, and the wind. That
the
kind of
first
stuff.
thing I thought of when I saw that sequence was like, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Right.
Small scale. Parang it's like,
Mhm.
we'll do this because, historically speaking, these movies have been made. So this is probably like, me saying like, I'm a fan of your movies. This is my version of it. This is the Marvel way of doing it. Marvel way. Quote
I got
unquote.
more of a Hero vibe because of all the leaves and the bamboo was like
Hero.
House of Flying Daggers. Also,
I don't know, Hero-
Yang Yimou really just made those so beautiful.
And
Hero.
of course, you have
Hero
Tony
and
Leung
House.
in it, so that's a given.
I guess he's also beautiful.
Well, yes, he is. He's very expressive, and
Like
also
the Tito thirst trap for everyone watching.
Mhm.
Oh,
That's what
lot-
Twitter says.
a lot of people
Mm.
saying "Zeri" out there. But
Ugh.
something I also
This-
appreciated going
So
back
my.
to how it's an homage. Just me personally, if there's something memorable about when I went to Hong Kong and Macau years ago,
You
It's
got into a
when
martial arts fight
no,
in
I
a
wish I
forest?
did. I wish I did. But what really caught my attention was how construction was. It was bamboo scaffolding. It's
Oh
the
yeah.
first time I ever saw bamboo
Yep.
scaffolding, which really set the environment for a great fight scene, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
It's
That's why they
so
opened the Rush Hour 2 with that.
yeah.
Yes.
So parang classic. Love it.
That's why you could really tell that the choreographer, the second unit director, Brad Allen, was having a good time doing it because it was all stuff that he'd done with basically his boss back in the day, except bigger and more expensive. And it was really impressive, the moves that they were stringing together. But that being said, I got another bone to pick, which is we find out that the assassins were sent by Wenwu, Tony Leung's character, right?
Mhm.
He sends the assassins to go after his children to retrieve the jade pendants around their necks. But in dialogue, he literally says, I knew my guys couldn't take you. So I'm like, why would you send them then? Just ask for the fucking necklaces or something. Why are you sending your guys? How many of those guys did Shang-Chi and his sister murder before they had their reunion with their father? They were throwing them off the building.
Devil's advocate, I think it's because it's kind of been established that they don't have a good relationship. So they
True.
probably just wouldn't hand over the pendants in the first place because, like, fuck you, dad. You've been emotionally unavailable all these years. But it's also maybe to test them. Maybe
I
see
like
if,
that.
like, will you? Okay, I will test you and see if you will join me on my quest to find your
I like
long
that.
lost mother.
I like that. Yeah,
We ha-
that works.
We have the same thoughts except for the testing because I'm more of on the let me remind you of who you are.
No,
of
that could work.
train of
That works
thought.
too. That works too.
That
Like,
works too.
Let me remind me of who you are. Don't forget your past or something.
Remember.
I don't know. So, like, what are we saying? Okay, Anjo, you're Chinese. You tell us. When you fuck up at work, does your dad send an army of assassins after you to remind you to do your fucking job?
I was not raised by martial artists and the head of an assassin's group.
Wouldn't be cool if you were, though.
Yeah, we'd have better
No.
stories.
No thanks. No thanks.
Okay. So let's get to the people who make this film, the characters. Okay, I want to start my thirst portion now.
Okay.
Cue the
here
music.
We go. We have
What's
a
the
thirsty
music?
theme.
No, I'm hoping.
Just kidding. But no, of course we gotta start with Simu Liu, okay?
Of course we do.
Tagal-tagal mo na itong gustong pag-usapan eh. Tweet pa lang ng Shang-Chi eh. Pinag-uusapan mo na sa
I wanted to
minisode
be
eh.
professional, okay? Give this thing a format. But
Okay, I will give
Okay.
it to you.
thank you for the blessing of a shirtless fight scene.
Come on.
Thank
it's
you.
Simu Liu. This guy doesn't like shirts,
Thank
okay?
you.
Oh my god.
Every episode of Kim's Convenience, he finds an excuse to take his shirt off.
Which I am grateful
Well, he couldn't
for.
do that as a stock photo model. So
Who knows? There could be some out there that we haven't unearthed yet, and he doesn't have a shirt on.
I'll go on Shutterstock right now and try to find one for you.
Okay, cool.
Merry Christmas.
In the meantime, okay, yes, thank you for the blessing of a shirtless Simu Liu, which I'm sure he was very pleased to show off all the hard work he's done. And they were also so incredibly self-aware, enough to make Katie ask what happened to his shirt in his fight scene. And nobody's
I know.
complaining. Nobody's complaining. I don't know who's complaining. Nobody. Just saying. Nobody. So thank you, Ronnie Cheng, for telling him to take his shirt off. Take your shirt off! And he didn't even have to say that. We started off his scenes as an adult, waking up shirtless and doing push-ups. I'm like,
This is a good
Simu.
movie.
Simu. On brand. Right from Kim's Convenience. And I'm grateful.
Pretty much.
Very,
MJ just wants to see
very
more
grateful.
Simu.
Of course
Yes, I
she
do.
does.
Yes,
And
she
seeing
does.
seeing Simu do all those fight scenes, amazing. And that concludes our thirst portion, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that was quick.
Hey, I
Short and
know.
sweet.
Yes.
Fair enough.
But yeah, okay. Thirst aside, I think Simu did a great job. He was charismatic. He was cool. He was the right level. He gave the movie physicality. I think he was very well trained for this. And yeah, he's come so far from that stock photo model. And I
like his portrayal of the character. He was pretty self-deprecating. He was like, like this chill guy that you would like to hang out with. He was cool. Maybe,
You
do
drink
video
with
okay with it.
him, yeah,
Do video okay with it
karaoke.
1 a.m.
Totally.
I like
And-
the fact that we see that that side of the character, because it's like it we I don't know, like there I have had moments where we could just go home and be responsible, or jump cut to the karaoke scene.
I know, and their whole playlist was like shit that I actually sing. So yeah.
True.
Yeah, same here, same here.
True.
But I
In some
also
places.
like that Aquafina as Katie, they're
Oh, she's
not
a
a
gem.
couple. They're not a
Yes!
couple. Okay,
Yes,
I like
I
that.
appreciate that.
But I think also we're at that point now, same as Reynolds and Free Guy, that I think I need a movie besides The Farewell where Aquafina doesn't play Aquafina.
I see.
Well,
I see what
I'm
you mean.
She did
getting
that.
close to that point already.
He did that already, but we'll talk
Well,
about that. It's a different movie.
I think she's getting more into dramas. She's being recognized, at least in indies, that she can be a
Yeah.
serious actress.
Yeah, The
But-
Farewell.
The
yeah,
Farewell.
yeah, but I guess it's still better than Ryan Reynolds. Sorry.
Because that was like a big jump from the Aquafina that we know. Because Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds would, if he decided to play a role that's not known for being another Ryan Reynolds role, it's
Mhm.
not so different. But then,
Mhm.
the
I
Farewell
don't
was just so different.
know. I
I-
saw Crazy Rich Asians.
But at least there's
The
that
Farewell
one.
was so different, though.
At least there's
Yeah,
that
that's
one
literally the only
movie.
one you can name.
Yeah, but at least there's that one in the span of a few years compared to Ryan Reynolds more than a decade.
Decades long career.
Fine.
But I actually want to go back to Katie and Shang's platonic relationship, because just because they're of the opposite sex and always together doesn't mean that they're together. I'm not
Right.
really sure if something unfolds in the future, but I appreciated what they had in this film, and it doesn't reduce the constant female companion to being the love interest. That I
Yeah.
really appreciated. And in general, yeah, she may have played herself in a whole lot of movies, but she does it so well. Her comedic timing and her punchlines always on point. So at least for this movie, she worked really well.
I never expected Aquafina to be in a Marvel movie,
Me neither.
to be honest. Like,
I
parang
kind
it's
of
like, okay,
did because
it's
at this point, everybody's going to be in a Marvel movie sooner or later.
How about us?
Mm.
Do we just tweet about it like Simu Liu did?
Yeah.
Well,
Dear
if they do decide
Marvel,
to-
I'm sad.
Dear Marvel. Okay, never mind. I'll
Yeah.
tweet that later.
she proceeds to type.
Type. Who can I play?
Marvel, sad ako.
Sad ako ang puta. Okay, let's talk about Shang's sister, Shaling.
Xialing.
Yes,
Mga
she's so
Shang.
badass.
Why does she get older? She's the younger sister. Why is she fucking older than her brother when they grow up?
Maybe it's because of running your own underground fight club with with super beings.
That
ages
might
you.
be stressful.
It ages you,
that
but then
might be
she gets into the ring once in a while to de-stress, and she's a very capable fighter. She does fight in the elite fighting ring.
Fine.
I
think she
love
just wanted
her.
to beat her brother up. She was good though. She was very good in this movie.
I enjoyed that fight scene she had with Shang-Chi, where she tries to decide to walk off and be like, and then she remembers why she's so mad at Shang-Chi and decides to knock him out with that badass kick to the face. Boom. Reminds me of my sister.
Aw. And I like how they're treated as equals, so they are really at par in terms of skill. It's just that they acquired their skills differently. I mean, she had to learn all that shit by herself because her fucking father wouldn't teach her.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So she's like, fuck you, dad. If you don't make me part of the empire, I'll make my own. And she
And
did.
she totally did.
I mean, like, she is a boss bitch.
She is. Totally is. With that red lipstick. Red lipstick.
Dude, she's so fucking badass. Like, I don't need to be trained by anyone else to do it myself. I still kick people's asses.
Mhm.
I got a question though. Like she's running this badass underground fight club. It's got super powered beings fighting in it. What the hell were Wong and Abomination doing there?
Maybe Wong just wanted some extra cash because he didn't have $2 for a freaking tuna sandwich
So
in
what?
Endgame.
Wong and he needs money to buy Ben and Jerry's for Doctor Strange. Yes, but
Yeah, magic powers give you access to certain things, certain perks. So
Just not money.
Just not money. So what
okay,
better way to do it than
fine. So Wong is there for money. What the hell is he doing chumming around with Abomination? Last time we saw that guy, Hulk was beating his ass on the streets of San Francisco.
I don't know, but he clearly needed money too because he and Wong were in on it. Like
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like, if you were boss bitch, wouldn't you be mad that your main event is, they're in cahoots?
As long as
No,
I'm
'cause
making
it
the money, I don't give a fuck.
exactly. She's
What
clearly
what's the
still
word?
making
What's the
money.
word? Luto. That's what it was. That's the word.
Luto.
It's
It
one thing if it's
was.
one thing if the house knew that, but if the people watching it knew that,
They
I don't
were
think they
talking about it in the
The
locker room in front of everybody.
the
the
They were
people
even
audience
who are
doesn't
watching.
know
they
that.
The
weren't
audience
even
doesn't know.
hiding that they were scamming the
Oh,
people.
come on. You guys watch
Aw.
wrestling. You know how this goes.
That's not the same thing.
It's the same thing.
That is not the same
It's
thing.
the same thing.
No, because it's wrestling. You know you're buying into a narrative. Here, it's actual fucking gambling on the outcome.
No.
The difference is consent.
Wow.
Whoa.
So, okay. We've talked about the sister. Let's talk about their dad or the daddy.
I fucking love Tony Leung. I
It's
mean,
Tony Leung.
honestly,
Of
it's Tony
course.
Leung.
Tony
There's
Leung, that's
nothing
it,
he
period.
cannot do. There's
I
nothing
know.
he cannot do.
Exactly. So we love him from all those Wong Kar-wai movies he's done in the past.
Mhm.
Here, he plays this emotionally unavailable, power-hungry father. But in the moments when he does show emotion, it's so effective. It's like
Yeah.
he has this face of longing, which he does so well. And
Absolutely.
deep down, he's well. To me, what the impression I got was he's still playing a Wong Kar-wai character. He's still a fucking lovesick puppy, except he's in the MCU and has
An army behind him.
an army. He's immortal with those magical 10
Yeah.
bracelets, as Misha said.
Bangles, wristbands, what have
Yeah.
you, whatever.
He's centuries old and like powerful and shit, but deep down, he still just really wants to be
No, but-
with his wife, and it's like, oh, Tony Young.
I really like how Wunmu was written. Like I guess he's not one of the best villains or best antagonists in the movie, but he's probably one of the better written villains in the MCU. Because aside from him, like, it's really just Killmonger and Thanos were like, and Loki, of course. Like those guys were like up there, like really well written villains. But then other than that, like the MCU has produced like lackluster villains, even like Hela and
I love Hella. You shut up.
I mean, like, there's not much layers to her. Like,
but she's
at
Kate
least,
Blanchett.
because I've noticed so far with the written villains in the MCU, they're the ones who are written with vulnerability. Like, they're out there, they have this one drive, this one thing that they're pining for. In his case, it's he was so torn. Like, it was the one person that made him a better person that he was longing for. Like it's Tony Leung. Like when he's hurting, you really see it in his face. He's this lovesick puppy. It was a better way to do it in a freaking superhero movie than
It's not just that
In
he's a
this.
lovesick puppy, but also he's a powerful dude, but he's willing to express his emotions, which I really love. You see that when he gets his ass beat by his wife in the opening, and that's what makes him fall in love with her. And you also see it when he loses her, and he goes after the guys who did it.
Oh, that freaking scene was like brutal.
That was kind
You
of
can
fucked
feel
up to bring your kid there.
Kind of was.
No, a blood debt has to be paid by blood. Like, typical warlord thing, I guess. But, parang dami kilala na warlord, di ba?
And it's like, are you surprised your kids ran away?
That is true. I'll give you
Showing
that.
them this kind of shit. So yeah, you understand his motivations. Yeah, I agree with Anja that he's one of the villains that has depth, and he actually made up for it in the end.
And I was
Gave me
also
so
gonna,
many feelings.
I was also gonna say that, like, as far as the depth goes, I think more of the depth. I mean, we understand his motivations and his emotional state, but I really think it was Tony Leung's performance that sold it for me. That's what
Yeah.
really it added dimension that maybe wasn't even there in the script, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's because Tony Leung's just fucking amazing in anything.
I
Yeah,
swear to
'cause he's
God.
Tony Leung. He's Tony Leung, man. Guy's a legend.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And can I just say though, the supporting cast in this movie is also great. We've already touched on Ronnie Chang and Aquafina, lending their comedic stylings. But even when they get to the hidden village of their mother and they meet an entire new cast, an entire new cast of martial artists with roots in Chinese literature. Actually, for heaven's sake, their mom's sister is played by Michelle Yeoh. I mean, you
Oh
cannot
my
do better
God.
than that. You cannot.
No, you cannot. You can absolutely
Nope.
cannot.
Definitely,
She
definitely not.
She makes
She is-
any movie better just by being in it.
She is an icon for a reason, okay?
Damn
And
straight.
she's done so many of these films already, but she just gives that credibility and grace to everything.
Absolutely.
Not just by her demeanor in general being so poised and graceful, but even through her movements in the fight scenes, so incredibly graceful. And you know, this is a seasoned actor. Like, I
You could-
do this shit. I
And
do
she's
this
better
shit
than
for a
Simu Liu,
living.
actually.
She is much
Yes.
better.
She's
Yeah.
so
Yes.
much better. Oh my god, when they were going one-on-one, I'm like, wow, she's holding back.
Yeah, well, she lives there in that warrior village, but she is so graceful. It's she just adds that extra flavor of class into it. I love her so much.
Same
But
here.
you know what?
same
What
here.
else? What other people might miss out is, you know, for people who aren't fans of the wuxia genre. What I appreciated was the casting of Yuan, as the master who was teaching archery, because this guy is a veteran
yeah,
actor in
he's
Hong
so
Kong cinema.
cute.
Fuck
He's
you,
been
I
in-
love you, Enwa. Pero it's
Diba?
like,
He's been in a lot. It's like a minor role, but like parang, oh, it's cool that they included him. I found out, hey, it's the guy from Kung Fu Hustle who had all those bendy moves, you know.
lumayo ka pa. He was also in Dragons Forever against Jackie and Samo at the same fucking time, which was
Oh, yes.
amazing back in the day.
yes, definitely.
He was even in Lucky Stars,
Definitely.
Mr. Vampire. That guy's an institution in himself. And now he's just a kindly old archery teacher. And I was like, why are you here? It's so
It was
cute.
so adorable though, and well, since we're already at the spoilers, his death was incredibly heartbreaking for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
That-
the shit, man?
That just really made my heart sink because it was at the point of the movie where everything was starting to feel so hopeless. And it
Mhm.
started when he died, and when he gets his soul sucked out, it's like, oh shit.
I liked also his interactions with Aquafina.
Oh, yeah.
Being short as they were, but they were gold. Like when they were together, it's like pretty funny because you know, like, yeah, you're not ready for battle. He takes away the gear from her. It's like, nope. And then she gradually says, "Oh, I have to help my friend." He goes like, "Don't die." And then it's
Yeah.
later it's like, aim for the throat.
I love their dynamic because Aquafina just like blah 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 blah, and he just gives these one-liners. It's
Oh, yeah.
amazing chemistry. Like even if they're so different, in the short period that they were both on screen, they were able to establish that relationship, which makes it heartbreaking when he dies in front of her eyes.
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yeah. And how about we also get to the henchman in the Ten Rings? I know you have a
the
lot
guy
of
with-
feelings
The
about it.
guy with the best name ever.
The
Can I say
hell,
his
man?
name? Can I say his name?
Why
Can
do
I
you
say
need
his name?
permission? You're literally
Okay,
the host
okay.
of this podcast.
Because MJ might want to say it.
No,
I'll
I'm
say
not
his
gonna
name.
take that fun from you because I know how much you enjoy this.
It's the best super villain name ever. It's Razor Fist.
It sounds like a
Fucking
Mortal
hell.
Kombat reject.
It does. It actually does.
Even his fucking design is a Mortal Kombat reject.
But when you look at him, it's literally who he is. Like he has
Razor
a
fist.
razor for a fist.
How does he go to the bathroom?
He uses his,
He has
his
one
other hand.
He has the other hand, Misha.
Maybe he's ambidextrous. I don't know.
Fine.
I don't know. But you knew what you knew what he was about when he shows up on the bus. It's like, oh, big dude without one hand. I wonder what that is. Swing!
It's either going to be a gun or a knife on that hand. So it was the knife.
It was the knife. You know, it would have made more sense if he had a gun like Barrett from Final Fantasy VII. Like,
That
why
would
would
be
you
cool.
choose a freaking knife in this day and age where half the people can just disappear in
Because
a snap?
if he had a gun, then it'd be off-brand. His name is Razor Fist.
That's true. Or it could have been a gun arm or Machine Gun Kelly if his name was Kelly.
Oh my god.
You'll be
Fucker.
dating Megan Fox
Or-
eventually.
Or I'm willing to bet his name was Johnny, so it would have been Machine Gun Johnny.
Okay.
You're terrible at this. You're just awful. You're the worst.
Okay. So,
Moving on.
Actually, you know what?
Razor Fist.
I was disappointed by Razor Fist. I
Me
know
too.
he's your favorite boy toy ever,
No.
but for me, he was not memorable. He was not funny. He was not entertaining. He was just
No.
there.
Actually, what I thought about was they didn't know where to go with the character, or the actor did not know where to go with the character. Because, at first he was this intimidating figure, then he tries to be funny.
It was kind of bad.
Yeah.
It was
I
Yeah.
feel
kind of
like
bad.
they tried to go that direction where he's intimidating at first and later on they're gonna make him this comic relief, but I just personally don't
It
find.
didn't work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's either in his timing or his delivery, but it did not really get a laugh out of me. I know I see the intention. I know they
Yeah,
wanted
but-
us to laugh in certain minutes of
here's the
his lines,
thing.
moments of his lines. but-
they're trying to make him funny, like Zangief in Street Fighter. That
No, it
was
was
fucking
off-brand.
funny.
It was
But this
off-brand.
didn't work.
Yeah.
This guy, he's played by Florian Ontanu. I don't know if I'm
Florian.
pronouncing that right.
I
Florian.
love that
Florian
name.
is such a nice name, though.
Florian.
You know,
He does have a
he's
nice name in real
He's
life.
a boxer. He's called Big Nasty in the ring. He
Ugh.
was in Creed too.
Why?
He was the son of Dolph Lundgren's Ivan Drago. He's the one who fights Michael B. Jordan. He was fucking scary in that movie. In this one, not so much.
No, not at all.
No.
Maybe the only thing scary about this character was the car he owned. It's like a BMW with like
With the
Okay,
ugly
tacky
graffiti.
ghetto graffiti
Can
on
I
it.
just say, I don't know how much BMW gave Disney to be in this movie, but their electric SUV got a lot of exposure
Yeah, it
Yes,
did.
it did. It did.
Yeah.
because it can outrun an enchanted forest.
Mhm. You know what? Okay, I have a bone to pick with Razor Fist. Actually, when I saw him, like, why is he
Okay.
the only white dude in a clan of assassins that's full of Asian people?
Well,
Like,
there-
Are you
there was-
arguing for white representation in the workplace? Is that really what you're going for?
No, I mean, like, it just seems so off-brand.
Because only white people are assassins? Sorry.
White people.
I saw in glimpses of like the Ten Rings army. So at this point, I was wondering when Tony Leung was talking to his kids in front of his army. Like I was like, why is he speaking in English? He could might as well just like talk to them in Mandarin or something. But then he started
Mhm.
addressing the army in English, and I was like, that makes sense because there was a mix of different people there. It wasn't. I guess he was just the leader, but there were like a couple of different ethnicities in the Ten Rings army. So
That actually makes sense.
yeah.
Okay, there was this also one character I wish had more exposure. It was that masked assassin.
Oh yeah, that guy seemed cool. They didn't give him enough justice.
He
I
was
don't know
more
what he was-
badass than fucking Razor Fist.
Yeah, what was he there for? Honestly, he
Who
was there
was
for that
he?
cool. He had that cool construction site skyscraper fight, but then after that, it's like,
Yeah, I was
Yeah, like
hoping.
he was there to introduce Shang-Chi to the world of pain.
yeah,
But
pain.
and he had that. Yeah, Misha did mention the construction site fight, but then
Yeah, but that was it.
That
He
was it.
just- yeah, he was like
He
a
could have
non-entity
actually
for
had
the
that-
rest of it.
yeah, he could have actually had that bus fight. To be honest,
That would have been
Mm.
cool if he had the bus
Yeah.
fight.
right?
Sorry,
don't
Razor
know.
Fist.
Yeah, we
Sorry,
wanted
man.
like unknown masked dude who could throw exploding ninja stars.
Okay,
Yeah.
but then that brings us back to the whole Rurouni Kenshin thing, where the guy on the bus who's dressed like an anime character is most obviously the assassin. That guy would not. Okay, wait. How the fuck did Razor Fist hide on a bus? Wait. Okay, I
They
got
were all
nothing.
in black when everybody else was wearing colored shirts.
See, you're still evil. Well, this guy's painted up like what? He's all blue and made up. He can't hide.
Okay,
As soon as you get on
fine.
the bus, you're like, oh, that guy's gonna kill me.
Hey, they were in San Francisco. People dress funny in San Francisco.
God,
Well,
you're
I guess-
racist today.
Well, who would you let in a bus? A big muscular white guy or some guy who won't take his fucking mask off? Not his surgical mask, but like a mask.
I don't know. I saw a cosplayer dress up as Spider-Man go to the grocery. They were fine with that.
Okay, fine, whatever.
No,
Alright.
tusa ni MJ.
They
Hindi
bagay
na
that Spider-Man.
Oh, go, bili ka ng patis sa kapitbahay. All right. So I also want to get to a character I feel did not really contribute much to the story, but it was Marvel's way of making up for a really, really weird plot twist back then in Iron Man. Let's
Oh,
get
my god! Oh, this is my real favorite character.
He's like the
Let's-
best fucking guy in this movie.
Trevor.
Trevor,
I'm
Trevor.
Trevor. I'm an actor.
Trevor, the actor. Oh my god!
What did you guys feel about him being there?
I was like, oh, he's back. What the fuck? I like
Okay.
it.
Okay, like I'm like the only guy left who still buys fucking physical media. So one of the extras on the Iron Man 3D Blu-ray was a short called "Hail to the King." It shows what happens to Trevor in prison, and it shows him just hanging out, chilling around the prison, talking to guards, talking to prisoners, and at the very end, some scary guys surround him in prison, and you think they're gonna kill him, and they say that somebody wants to talk to you. He doesn't appreciate you've been using his name. And then you see that one of them has a 10 rings tattoo. And that's the last time we ever saw Trevor. So to see him now alive and well was just fucking hilarious. And I like that he actually explains it. He's like, yeah, they were going to kill me. But then I busted out some Shakespeare. And and then they hired me.
In short, he was the jester.
The actual shit. Tony Leung hired him.
Sobrang wala siyang na-contribute sa story.
Nothing.
As in,
No,
wala
okay.
talaga.
Wait,
But,
meron naman.
Meron naman. He was the translator for Morris.
puta.
Morris.
Morris!
Headless chicken
Oh
pig.
my God.
Pig!
I feel so conflicted with Morris. I'm like,
But he's so
so
cute.
cute. He's so cute, but where the fuck is his face?
I think kasi if walang sound si Morris, hindi siya cute eh. Pero he was making all this.
Yeah, the good sound design choices in that, which made him really cute. But
Pero kasi the moment that Morris came out, my wife was like, I want the Morris. What is that? I want one. Can you find a plushie?
I also like how when Morris comes out for the first time, he's this enchanted animal from the magic forest. And Trevor's all like, oh my God, you can see him too?
That was the fact that he starts translating for Morris and Shang-Chi and Katie.
No
like,
explanation. No explanation. Basta he can understand it.
You can understand that thing. You're like, yes, I can. Can you?
we don't even
No.
question it. He just knows.
We don't,
But-
because
but-
I think that's because we fucking love Marvel at this point. We just accept it.
No, but because apart from that, we've seen Black Widow. Prior to this, it was just Black Widow. And prior to that, it was Spider-Man Far Away from Home. He was the only character there with enough dialogue to talk with that we can actually connect to the previous universe and actually explain what the status was. Kumbaga, because Wong was just there in passing. And at this point, we'll get
Yeah,
to the
Trevor's the only
at this-
real connection we have to the bigger MCU.
Yeah, I
to the bigger
guess.
MCU, and
At
as
that
he
point.
explains these things.
I
So
guess.
parang that was his big contribution to the movie.
No, his big contribution was telling us why he became an actor.
yes! It was in
Please.
1968 in a theater when I saw Planet of the Apes. and then that's when I asked my mom, Mommy, is that real? Oh, you silly boy. No, it's not. They're acting. And that was when I realized that the monkeys were acting. What in that?
If you could train a monkey to act, imagine what I could do.
That was the biggest contribution to the movie.
Oh yung
my
mukha
God.
nila eh. When yung reactions ni Aquafina tsaka ni Simulo like, the fuck are you on?
I
think
want
it was
what
at
he's
this.
having. I want what he's having.
I think it was at this point where I messaged because when I was watching this, I know Misha had seen it before me, pero it was at this point I think I messaged him in all caps. Oh my God, Sir Ben Kingsley is the best actor in this movie. His best role ever to date. Like
Yeah,
screw.
Yeah, I don't
Screw
care.
that.
He was Gandhi, but I don't give a shit.
Like,
Okay,
I don't care. He
was
played.
He's
I don't care. He
Trevor.
played Gandhi. He's Trevor. Best role. His most iconic role ever. Just because of that Planet of the Apes monologue.
No, that was something else. I swear to God.
Oh my God.
So eccentric.
good.
Only Marvel
even-
can do that. Only
but
Marvel can make
even-
a legendary actor like Sir Ben Kingsley say these lines.
Even in the middle of a fucking battle with everybody dead
Oh,
next to him, he still managed to make it awesome.
He's like,
Morris, what are
I'm
you
playing
doing?
dead.
This is the performance.
And then Morris plays dead.
Oh, so cute. He just like flops over, belly up. So good.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I'm
yeah,
so happy.
the cast was fun. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, you could tell they were all enjoying themselves.
They work. So we've talked about the characters and everybody who made this movie. Let's get to how things all ended up. How did you feel about how the story went, the big ending, big fight scene at the end, the climax?
Honestly, since we already covered, like, we already touched a little bit on how they are a very, very dysfunctional family unit. Shang-Chi, his sister, his father, and his dead mother. They're very fucking dysfunctional. But they didn't start out dysfunctional. They were playing Dance Dance Revolution,
Hmm.
apparently in the 90s, and they were all happy. I like that bit where Tony Leung, because like the mother lost her powers after she left her village
Mhm.
because she chose to leave for love. Like, oh, and even Tony Leung, badass warlord who's been alive for 4,000 years, stops using his magic ring so he could live out his mortal life with the woman he loves. I love that.
Yeah.
So you totally buy it when he goes all John Wick because because some fools killed the woman he loves. So they kind
Yeah.
of had it coming.
And how he gets deranged in a way for him to be fooled by this mystical evil creature, for
Yep.
him to be freed.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the point where we see everything come together, all the wuxia, all the CG, and even all the creatures from Chinese literature. You have the Great Protector, which was such a beautifully designed beast in my opinion. And he was pretty badass creature too. And they also had this like lion looking.
The food dogs.
Yeah.
I love the lion.
He was
They're
so cool.
cute. They're so
And this-
floofy.
And this is like straight off of these traditional Chinese paintings that
Yep.
you've probably seen once in your life, or maybe those statues. And to see that come to life in MCU movie was just like amazing.
floofy.
Here's the thing with how this secret world, the secret village was. Like, I found it even more magical than Asgard. I'm sorry, because Asgard just looked too sci-fi for my taste.
Mm.
So
There's
it's
so
like
many white people.
it's Norse mythology. Of course, there would be white
Look,
people.
okay, they're all fucking white people. They only got one Asian and one black dude, and the black dude is the doorman. So come on.
Hey, he's my favorite out of all.
Yeah,
of
but he's
them.
still just their servant
But
who
it's
opens
Norse
the door.
mythology. It's
But it's
still Norse
Idris
mythology.
Elba. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Go back to the mystical village.
No,
Yes,
but
I
it-
love
it-
that.
But yeah, I mean, like it was more magical than Thor. But we all knew that Thor was supposed to be a magical setting. But then it looked really sci-fi. Aside from the frost giants, you didn't see anything. You didn't see any magical creatures in Asgard. That's a whole world. Here, it's just a tiny village, and you see everything. It's like, oh my god, they have magical dogs. They have headless chicken pigs.
They have a
And other
dragon
stuff.
in the lake. They have
And
a
as
water
Trevor
dragon.
as Trevor pointed out, the birds are on fire.
And like, is that a
It
horse?
beat the,
That's the strangest looking horse I've seen.
Yeah. Well,
the birds that were on fire looked the fuck done better than that phoenix in Mulan. Oh my god.
anything looks better than that fucking phoenix in Mulan. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Maraming
sorry,
nasayang
Manok.
sa movie na Mulan. Mhm.
Lord.
Oh, well, while we're at Talo, actually, I personally, I guess if there's something I would have wanted more from this film is I wish we had more time to bask in Talo and why it's such a mysterious magical place. Because why is it so special? So we've seen the magical creatures, fine. We've seen that it's a village of warriors protecting this sacred gate. But what's the community like? Like, why? I wish we had more time for it. Because I wanted to feel like how hard was it for their mother to leave this place for love, despite
Yes.
being such a strong asset to this community, right? Because she was such a powerful warrior. She even beat
She
her
was the
future
protector.
husband. Yeah.
One of the protectors, supposedly.
So I wanted a sense of what she gave up and why they came back to it eventually, besides the obvious mission. Because,
I
there
like
is
that.
that mission.
Yeah, that
But-
would have
Yeah.
been nice.
Yeah, just to give it a more powerful sense of home when Shang finally finds it. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's supposed
yeah.
even if he's never been there, it's supposed to feel like home for him because that's where
Right.
his mom came from.
The closest
agree.
we get.
Yeah.
I agree.
The closest we get is the mom's stories. To
Yeah,
him when he was a
exactly.
child.
So we don't see the community like working as a community because obviously they do other things besides martial arts, right? How the hell are they gonna survive? And yeah, we didn't get to dive as deep into it like let's say Wakanda.
Mhm.
Wakanda's cool.
Because
Wakanda Wakanda had a whole 2 hours to do that.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi didn't.
Yun
But
nga
Like the last 30
I
minutes.
was
Yeah,
I was kind of
that's-
hoping they would have
Mm.
done the Kung Fu Panda where Po goes into the village of
Kung Fu
of-
Panda.
yeah, I mean, like, because they were able to do that in Kung Fu Panda when Po finally finds his people. When they
Yeah.
go into that panda village.
Yeah,
diba?
but they took like 3 movies to get to that point. We had to know Poe before we
good
gave a
point.
shit
Yeah.
about his
Good
journey.
point. Good
So
point.
maybe they could have saved the village to Shang-Chi too.
Maybe, but I guess this is the disadvantage of Shang-Chi being the first film of its series. Because let's say, since I mentioned Wakanda, T'Challa had civil war, right? To kind of
Mhm.
establish who he
Yeah.
was, what he
Right,
stands for,
yes.
his
Right,
relationship
right,
to
right.
his dad,
Right,
and
exactly.
why he needs to
Where
carry
his place
on
is
the
in the
family
MCU
name.
is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
his crown. So you already established that, which when we get to his solo movie, you know what he's all about already. So that's why we can already get to the
That's
nitty gritty of what Wakanda is about. So I wanted
Yes.
that for Talo here.
Yeah,
But I guess
as
they didn't
opposed
have the
to-
time for it.
As opposed to Shang-Chi, whose only connection to the rest of the MCU was Trevor.
Oh god. But yeah, those are my sentiments. So how about you guys? If there's something you wanted to change.
Now that you pointed it out, yes, I do completely agree, and I see the point in it. I do agree. I mean, we could have done more exposure because with fantastical creatures and in magical places, it would always be nice to just have a few, just to be immersed in that world.
Yeah.
We didn't even get the chance. Like I kind of hope they revisit that if there is gonna be a sequel.
Mhm.
That would be nice. Like, oh, I know the way.
Yeah, that's what I want for the sequel.
Something that I enjoyed here, actually, it's not so much that I'd want to change it, but I think I'd like to build more on it. What I appreciated was they tried to give us an authentic sense of the experience of the Asian immigrant in general.
Yeah.
Wherein you have somebody from a very traditional culture trying to fit in a new place with new country with new rules, and you saw that here. You could see the juxtaposition of where Shang-Chi came from culturally and where he was now. So he now, you're this slacker dude in San Francisco, but you're still the guy who takes his shoes off before entering the house. You're this dude who grew up in a very traditional historical background, learning traditional martial arts, and you have a very strict father. But but you go to America, you want to fit in. It's not just about hiding, but also because you want to fit in. So the first thing you do, you change your name. So it's no, honestly, that's a
Can we-
very cultural thing.
I know.
Can you say the name? Can you say the name that he changed?
He chose the best fucking name since Obi-Wan changed his name to Ben and thought nobody would find him. Shang-Chi goes undercover as Sean.
Mm.
He gave it so much thought, clearly.
I swear, yeah.
As
It's
Katie clearly
ever.
pointed it
Right.
out.
She's like, oh, however did your father find you?
You're hiding from everyone, and you change your name from Shang to Sean.
Pinag-isipan niya for like
Yeah.
2 whole seconds, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah, what
guess.
would a 14-year-old think of anyway? You're 14 years old. You're running away from your dad. Like,
I don't
what would be
know.
the best name? My name's Shang-Chi. Sean.
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 In as much as I appreciate all the little Chinese touches that the director put into the film, something that became apparent when I talked with Deng after watching the movie, honestly, was that the movie speaks more towards the ABC crowd, towards the American-born Chinese experience than it does an overall Chinese one.
True.
Well, yeah,
I see that.
Yeah, but I guess it's also why I like this movie more because it never promised to be a Mulan. It never promised to show much of China. It was more of, the immigrant story, like being, an outcast at the same time being one with, society. So I guess that's why I enjoyed it, because being, like half Chinese myself, I walk the line of somebody who gets teased for being Chinese and not being Chinese enough. So it speaks to me.
I think part of it comes from the fact that Black Panther kind of set the bar, it in having something to say about the culture that they're representing. Because like with Killmonger, you were really all in with him with what he wanted to do. He wanted to get revenge, or he wanted to get justice for his ancestors and all that. You could totally get behind that. Whereas in this movie, as much as I am totally on board for Tony Leung sacrificing everything in the name of love. You would be harder pressed to convince your terrorist army to follow you because you're hearing voices.
That's
well,
true.
Well, that's true. But then I'm guessing because Killmonger is scarier, and he has a purpose, versus Tony Leung, who's been rich for thousands of years.
Yeah,
Probably has the money to pay all these guys. So there's a difference.
that's
That's
true.
that's the clear difference between these two villains. Aside from the fact that Killmonger was a better written villain, I'm still going to say that Tony Leung's character Wenwu wasn't. Is still one of the better ones. It's just that Killmonger's much, much, much better. Best MCU villain ever.
I liked Wenwu, honestly. It's just that his motives were purely selfish, honestly.
Yeah.
They were all for him.
Yep.
And, not to some larger sense of duty or whatever. It was all just about him and his feelings and whatnot. And then something else that Dan pointed out was also it's there's something of the whole Beauty and the Beast syndrome at work here, wherein the toxic male is cured by the power of love.
Well, Chinese, very patriarchal. So I don't know. Like it's just something.
I don't know. I mean, all sense of honor and duty gets thrown out the window the second that that Shang-Chi's mother decides she's gonna leave her magical village.
Yeah.
Just because she met a dude whose butt she kicked. But I assume that she kicks the butt of everybody who comes looking for their village.
Yeah, I guess that's why I also mentioned that I wish we knew more about Talo and, what she gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but they didn't really explore that too much because I think they wanted to keep the story within the focus on Shang-Chi more.
Yeah, and since Shang-Chi is the
Title
lead character and he is actually he grew up most of his life in San Francisco. So half of his life. So he has that experience. But I totally understand Deng's point that it would have been nice to just give us the deeper meaning of the Chinese culture besides just these legends, just this village. It's nothing deeper than whatever is happening in the plot.
Yep. I see the point and it's valid. It's just I feel like to me the whole immigrant experience of an Asian to an Asian American is just a different culture in itself because because these Asian Americans toe the line between what's traditional for the Chinese community or what's Western, because it's really a clash of East and West. Versus what Black Panther was going for, it was more of like what has been taken away from me, what has been erased from me. This one, it's not. It's more of like, what am I going to follow? What am I going to follow? My ancestors, what my family's been through, or what am I going to be like the people I live with now? It's more of a clash of culture thing rather than something's been stolen from me. Like I need people to know what the pain I'm going through is, but this one is like totally different. That's what I see. Which is why I appreciated it more.
That's fair. I think it can be argued though that all things considered, and granted the bar has not been raised very high, Mulan. That all things considered, I think this movie was overall quite respectful of what it was referencing and all of those other things. So I still stand by the fact that I'm pretty sure it would have made a lot of money if it ever got out in China, if they ever decided to release it there.
Yeah, I guess
mean,
so.
like the whole homage to wuxia cinema.
And maybe we'll get to that in the sequel when Shang-Chi just further immerses himself in his past or his family's past, and he'll learn more about it, and hopefully we will learn more about it, and there's going to be a lot more depth to it in a more authentic Chinese sense.
Okay, I'm going to be cheesy right now, and I'm going to say it once because,
in
people
Mandarin?
have said this before, not
Yes,
in Mandarin.
please, in Mandarin, please.
Not in Mandarin.
Please.
Not.
Please.
My Mandarin is shit. I don't want to be crucified by my peoples.
Dishonor!
Dishonor. But anyway, yeah. I mean, like, one thing's for sure. We have varying opinions about this, about its authenticity, but it's still great. Like, people still enjoyed it. For the first time in a Western movie, I see a superhero, quote unquote, who looks like me. Like,
I don't know. I've seen you without your shirt on.
Well,
Do I want to know the context? Let's not tell. Don't tell me the context.
that's oversharing, Misha.
Sorry. What? No.
No, but
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
no, it just feels so good to be represented, in media that's exposed, that has more exposure to a lot of the people globally. Because
True.
like we've what Asians are usually the butt of the joke in movies. Like what we're the brainy ones. We're usually like the ones running a grocery store. It just feels nice to have somebody kicking ass for once, like not the bad guy, not like how Jet Li was in Lethal Weapon 4, or not like some stereotypical Asian, wise Chinaman,
Some mystical Oriental.
right? The fact that, someone's called an Oriental just speaks racist all over, you don't even specify where you're from.
Fair.
But Shang-Chi just says it all. Like, this guy's from China. The martial arts would speak for itself. It just feels nice to have that for once, right? So there, that's all I have. That's my 2 cents about what this character means for me. Because I'm half Chinese. I've had it from all sides. I've had Chinese people mocking me for not knowing not knowing how to speak. I've had Filipinos teasing me for being Chinese, just for being Chinese. That's fucking stupid, So
I
there.
feel you. I hear you.
So that's why this movie is just great.
Cool. While we're on the topic of what we'd like to see, what would have changed, I would have liked to see the job that he welched out on. I want to see the assassination that he did not carry out.
Ooh,
I want to see that moment where he
right.
decided, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to run away. Because, for sure, you don't send a first-time assassin out on his own. I'm sure he had a minder. May bantay yan. He had to lose somebody in order to get to America to hide.
True.
So
Maybe-
I would love to see that. Also, sorry, we could see how Tony Leung tried to look for him after that. Because at some point in this movie, he says that I always know where my kids are. So maybe he tried looking for him, and he saw he was okay. He just decided to leave him alone. Because he said, you know what? I gave you 10 years. Now I want my shit back. I want my necklace back.
Maybe it was written that way, and we could see more of those layers of the character in the succeeding movies. Sequel,
I'll take
whatever.
any excuse to see Tony Leung again.
But regardless of all our gripes and wants, it was still a great origin story or introduction to the character. Because we have nothing but praises for the performance, and we did enjoy the story that was told. And clearly the world does too, because the movie didn't flop despite what other people thought. Losers.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
And
it's
it was
something to be-
before the movie came out. It was seen as like this kind of underdog, and look, it made all the monies.
It
I love
dominated.
it. I love a good underdog story.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi is an underdog.
So, needless to say, we do recommend this movie, and definitely, if you have the means to, go watch it. If you do get to see it in the cinemas out here in the Philippines when it comes out, please be
Then
safe.
lucky you.
Lucky you. Please be safe. Make sure you're vaccinated and are wearing a mask. But you're definitely gonna enjoy this film as much as we did. We really did.
Me?
Hell yeah!
Props
Me
to
not recommend a Marvel movie.
I could think of some you wouldn't recommend.
Thor 2.
Yeah, Thor 2 is probably the only Marvel movie I would not recommend.
Okay.
It's pretty boring.
So
And with that,
yeah, with that, go
With
see
that-
Shang-Chi in the Legend of the Ten Rings, not bracelets, not
Bangles.
armbands, not bangles, rings. 10 rings,
Because
okay.
please just fucking watch it for Trevor. I'm not even kidding.
okay, since Misha has a bone to pick with them not being rings, just say Shang-Chi and the Legend of the 10
Tony
Big
Leung.
Rings.
Big
Then
rings.
what? Big
10
rings?
big rings.
Or,
Technically, there are big rings.
or rings for giants?
Okay,
I don't know.
okay. I don't know if I've just been
Wristbands.
watching. I don't know if I've just been watching too much Seinfeld lately, but okay. So
Oh,
if
you're on
a
the Seinfeld
ring,
thing.
no, past a certain size, a ring becomes a bracelet or a bangle, right? What size does a bracelet or a bangle become a hula hoop?
Huli hoop?
And you can follow us on our socials. We have a Facebook group, Sub-Auteurs, We Like Movies. We've also got Instagram. It's instagram.com/sub_auteurs. Tell us what you think. Let us know what else you want to hear. And interact with us on the Facebook group. Let's talk fun stuff about movies, news, and all that jazz. So, this has been the Sub-Auteurs. My name is MJ.
I'm Misha,
And I'm Manjo.
and we just saw Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Hula Hoops.
Cue Anderson Paak and credit song.
Man, I love that.
Oh, speaking of Anderson Paak and credit song, the soundtrack is amazing. You guys should listen to it. It's full of Asian American acts, lots of artists from 88 Rising, a whole lot of Rich Brian for some reason. He has like 4 or 5 songs in there. But taking cue from the Kendrick Lamar helmed Black Panther, yeah, this is also something to be proud of. DPR Ian!
Representation. Let's go.
Totally. Nikki, DPR Live, DPR Ian, my love. Okay, sorry to insert that thirst there. Janae Aiko. Who else? BB, Keshi, and yeah. And Simulio
Oh,
also
Scott.
sings in the soundtrack.
Wait, what? He does?
Yes, he does. He has a song
Siyempre,
called
Simulio.
Hot Soup. It's called Hot Soup.
Of course it
Siyempre
is.
si Simulio yan. Don't
What?
argue with Mai. Don't argue
yeah,
with MJ.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Listen to the soundtrack. And yes, let's finally end this episode. Bye, guys.
Goodbye.
Wait. Akala niyo tapos na. It's not a Marvel movie at the post-credit scene.
You see what we did there?
Dun. Meron ng Sub-Auteurs shared universe, cinematic universe.
I am so happy with the post-credit scene. Wong calling them out of the bar, just like basically interrupting everybody's night and just like teleporting in there and just grabbing
yes.
Shang and Katie. And I'm so happy to see Captain Marvel again and Bruce Banner. And they acknowledge how Captain Marvel is always just like dashing out of stuff. Oh, gotta go, bye.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of true though, because you know.
Because she got a page.
Yeah, she got a page.
Or like
Exactly.
it answers the question like, oh, why does Captain Marvel only like pop in these, why isn't she there the whole time? She's busy, okay.
Okay,
Dami
I
siyang
gotta
ginagawa.
ask.
It's like the
okay.
it girl of the universe, you know.
Okay,
Like she's
okay,
wanted
first-
in one solar system and then she's wanted in the other like 10 minutes later.
She's wanted
Got
in my heart. Sorry. Okay. I'm done.
Aww. No, I was gonna say I got questions because, like,
Yes.
okay, clearly it's been a couple of years since Endgame because Captain Marvel's hair is long again. Right?
Hindi na niya kamukha si Lea Salonga.
Right, she's not Coach Leia of the MCU anymore.
And it's
But-
not
Yes.
as curly as it was in the 90s. It's a little frizzy, TBH.
But
It might have been dry in outer space, so
But also, Bruce isn't Smart Hulk anymore.
Oh yeah.
He's Bruce. He's Bruce fucking Banner.
Oh yeah, and,
and
he
his
has a sling.
arm is still fucked up from when he used the Infinity Gauntlet that Tony built
Ooh, yeah.
when he tried to do the snap.
Good question. Oh.
So, like, okay, so he's still fucked up. Does that mean like he's never gonna be able to use that arm again properly?
Oh.
Because if he's had a sling on for however long it took for Captain Marvel to grow out her hair, what's he gonna be doing on the She-Hulk TV series? Will he still have the sling? Is he not gonna be the Hulk? I don't know what's going on.
I guess we'll find out.
Maybe,
Oh,
maybe a reason why he's not Smart Hulk anymore, or he's just Bruce Banner now, is because just me just theorizing because I'm familiar with the She-Hulk. Is because how Jennifer Walters gets the powers. Is that because she gets a blood transfusion from her cousin Bruce Banner?
Yeah, but giving somebody blood doesn't mean you lose all of your own blood. So
It's
he's
the
still gonna be-
MCU.
He's still gonna be Hulk, even if he gave her some blood.
It's the MCU. They change things all the time. We didn't
If
even
he
have
could be
one
not
move.
Hulk just by giving blood, he would have done it years ago.
Well, he
I-
didn't know that then.
I simultaneously love and hate the reasoning because it's Marvel. I love it as a fan because like you just accept everything, but I hate it that we're just giving it excuses to.
It's like, Anjo, if I gave you a blood transfusion, I would still have fucking asthma. What the hell, man?
I
I will not
know.
magically lose it just because I gave you some blood.
We don't have Shield tech. We don't have Stark tech. We don't have Asgardian tech. We live in the real world. This is why we watch movies.
Fine.
Fine.
But yeah, it looks like the mid-credit scene is setting up the big bad of Phase 4, whatever Phase
Yep.
4 of the MCU will be doing. So for
And
phases
also,
1, 2, and 3, it was Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet. Phase 4, we're gonna know as we go along. But it looks like the 10 bracelets are calling something.
10 rings, kasi
Let
10
it
rings.
go.
And it's not just that. It's also setting up what Shang-Chi's role will be. As Wong addressed him, like, you better get used to that. It's always like this.
So does that mean he's an Avenger now?
Not yet officially, but they're saying, like, I like the fact that Wong says it, like, you two better get home, get some rest. You don't
Why
know
does
what's
he
going to be
need
coming
Katie?
next.
Other than the fact that she's played by Aquafina, why does Wong need Katie?
I
They
don't
need
know,
an extra
Asian.
karaoke buddy.
That's
That was
true.
the
That's
best
probably like
fucking
the best.
thing.
That was the best.
That
No,
was
I
the
like how they
best.
ended it.
Hotel
I-
California.
I really
I
like how
love
they ended it.
Wong.
Like, you can just go
Such
home,
a
get some
lovely
rest,
place.
or
Such a
had
lovely
to do that whole
place.
thing. They had
I
to do that
fucking
one whole
love-
bit.
I love
Living it up
Wong.
at the Hotel California. I was hoping
Hey,
it's a
actually-
Beyonce song, but Hotel California is pretty cool too.
Hey, we don't know how long they were singing. I'm sure they got to Beyonce at some point.
But if it was single ladies, it would have been so funny.
Yeah. Call
Just
back.
to see
I
Wong
love-
do that song.
I love Wong.
Wong's the best.
And I
Wong's the
also
best.
love how you see the sisters' future too. Like
Oh,
painting
yeah.
all the traditional buildings of the
Yeah.
palace with graffiti, just making her
Dude,
bigger version of her Macau Fight Club.
what did I tell you, man? She's a boss bitch.
Boss,
Damn right.
bitch.
Boss
Damn right.
fucking bitch, man.
love that ending for
fucking
her. Love
Xialing,
Shang-Chi.
it's just
So
awesome.
I got a question. Is she gonna like just make her Fight Club global, or is she gonna continue the whole League of Assassins thing that her father started?
She's gonna
I
make
think
the
it's-
people in the 10 rings all fight each other for entertainment. So she has an army who already trains each other through the weekly fights or nightly fights. And at the same time, she makes a shit ton of money producing these shows.
Because you know,
That's
like
true.
my boy Ronnie Chang was there at the end.
Yeah, so she's just being a business lady. At the same
Yes.
time, I'm putting up a fight show and training my people.
That'd be so cool, no? We're live streaming from the heart of the League of Assassins temple in the middle of an enchanted land. Live
it.
on pay-per-view.
Get ready to rumble!
I really want to see where this goes. I mean, I
Yeah.
love that they started phase 4 with Black Widow and with Shang-Chi, who are, by definition, minorities. And it looks like they're setting up some big stuff. And if nothing else,
Mhm.
I think that Disney and Kevin Feige have earned our trust to see where this goes from here. So it'll be cool. And, we got the Eternals, we got Spider-Man coming up, we got Doctor Strange 2. We just came off a great season of What If and Loki and WandaVision. So, yeah, so far so good.
We have so much more to look forward
With
to.
all due apologies to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, medyo sablay kayo. But, we love your characters.
Do we? Do we?
I love Bucky.
I love Bucky.
Do
I love
we?
Bucky.
I love Bucky.
Let's leave it at that. For real.
I actually also do love US Agent. Sorry.
Kurt Russell's ugly son.
Yeah.
Let's
guy who
leave it
looks
at
like-
that.
Yeah.
Before you say anything else about Kurt Russell's son ending for reals.
Oh my
When he has the mask on, he looks like Mr. Fredrickson.
the not cute Mr. Fredrickson.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, but he was great.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
He was great.
Okay. No more post credits after this, promise. Thank
Okay.
you.
The Sub-Auteurs will return.
Next week, hopefully.
That's now a thing, no, with Marvel movies, no?
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.